All right. My name is Tim Nielsen. I'm the executive director here for Christian Camps and Conferences, which is, of course, as you know, Camp Brookwoods and Deer Run here in New Hampshire, and also Moose River Outpost in Jackman, Maine. And with me is Beth Walker, and she's waving at us, the Deer Run director, to weigh in on all those important questions that you have about camp program as well. So we're very glad to have you join us. And last night I did a new parent call and had about 40 new parents on the line asking all of those little intricate questions about camp. And I thought, oh, this will be a different call, with a bunch of folks who have had children in camp before. It was just reminded to me as we got started that maybe your child wasn't here last summer, and maybe, or it's been a summer or two since you've been at camp. So a little bit of update on what we're doing and how we're doing it will help. So if it's okay with you, I'll spend a few minutes kind of giving you a little bit of info and then allow you to drop some questions in the chat box, and then Beth and I will field all those questions. Uh, so first of all, I want to thank you so much for trusting your children with us. We are so excited to have them back at camp, and we just can't wait. We had a lot of snow this last week here at camp, and we had what seemed like an early spring coming, and then summer hit us late. So summer just seems like the right thing for us. We just can't wait for that. But we also just love the relationships we develop with the campers, and thank you so much for entrusting us with them. As you arrive at camp for registration, last year we made some modifications to the registration process and did much of it inside, in using Moose Hall as a starting point for taking photos of the campers and doing the medical check-in. And then from there, sending the campers off to meet the Brookwoods staff, or over to Deer Run to meet Beth and the Deer Run staff. And the registration process was faster than we've just ever seen it happen before. And my special hint to you is, if you don't care what bunk your child gets in camp, don't worry about arriving right at the beginning of registration. It seemed like the only folks that waited were the ones that came early, because the actual registration process moved very, very quickly. And that's our goal. We want to get you in so that you can spend time getting your child set in their cabin and connecting with their counselors and building that relationship. We look forward to connecting on registration day as well. And something that's important for you to note that's a little different than the past, we've included the uniform shirt in the camp fee. So you do not need to order the uniform shirt ahead of time. And we'll actually be giving that to the campers the day before or the night before they actually need it, so that they don't wear it all week long, and then get to the Sunday service and it's maybe not photo ready. So we'll give it to them right before they're ready to use that. And the similar, if they're your camper's a monther, they'll get that shirt right before they need it. And so we're pretty excited about that. And but that shouldn't keep you from going to the camp store and checking out some of the other cool stuff that's in the store while you're here at camp. We've been working hard on some of the things that we think might catch the interest of the kids, and maybe you too. If you're an alumni and you think, you know what, I need some of those fancy Deer Run Croc plugs so that I can decorate my Crocs so that everyone knows where I went to camp. Well, you can check
Or
that
a
out in the store.
squishmallow. Kids out
Oh,
there.
yes,
Squishmallow.
Squishmallows, yeah, and
Right.
shirts and sweatshirts and all of those things. So don't forget to check out the camp store. Um, and then, of course, you'll have an opportunity to talk to our medical staff if you need to on registration day. If you have medication, check that in with them. If you have any special needs that you need to speak to them about, they'd be happy to connect with you and make sure that they have everything that they need. Likewise, if you have any special dietary needs for your child that need to be addressed, they can be told to us ahead of time and we can be prepared for them. Or if you need to meet with anyone in our food service team, that would be certainly something we could arrange when you come to camp for registration day. And then activity signups often happen the first night of camp for that first week. If you happen to be looking to do horseback riding or scuba, you can sign up for those things early. Don't forget to do that. We are expanding the horse program a little bit this year, adding another riding ring, which we're excited about, which will allow for a little bit, perhaps some smaller classes, as well as more riders throughout the whole session. And Scuba still has space, I think, as well for both the Scuba intro and the Scuba certification. The Scuba certification would be the one that you would sign up for ahead of time. And so you may be noticing if you follow any of the camp information that we're doing a little bit of construction at camp right now. We're in the process of building a multi-purpose building that we're calling the Field House, and that construction will be going on throughout the summer season. And I think that it's important to kind of give you a little bit of idea how that impacts camp. Hopefully, it doesn't impact camp at all. By the time that camp rolls around, most of the construction will be on the interior of that building. The exterior will be finished at that point, and they'll be working on the inside. All of the construction team that will be here will have gone through the same background checks that all of our staff go through, but also will not have interaction with our campers because of that location and the intensity of their work. We'll have that area you'll be able to observe it from a distance, but blocked off for access to ensure that we keep everyone safe as they continue to do that construction. That building, unfortunately, will finish at the end of the summer, and we'll have a grand opening during our alumni camp during that time, and then we can launch into it for next season. But we're very excited to see that come together. It's a full-size indoor basketball court or 2 volleyball courts with an exercise room and locker rooms, as well as a stage. So if indoor worship in the future happens, that will be a spot that we can go to and comfortably fit the whole camp. So we're really excited about that. We're also working on a few other projects. We've just put a new porch on the Wapiti cabin, and we're building a new pavilion across from that cabin area, the Impala cabin, which is in the Deer Run site. And we've been working hard on the sail beach and getting all of that area ready for camp. So camp is got a little bit of ways to go before it's camper ready, especially after all the snow. But we've got some time. And if you happen to be interested in sending any of the men and boys up, we do have a working weekend, the first weekend in May. And that's a free visit to camp for anyone who wants to put their hands to work. And unfortunately, we'd love to do a family work weekends, but this particular weekend we only have one cabin available. So we're going to make this a men and young men event and pack them into the Ranger cabin. A couple of other reminders for you is that our forms are due by May 1st. Which is coming up soon. And I actually sat down and filled out my children's confidential forms this morning. So don't worry. If you're ahead of me on any of that, I'm still working on that for my kids too. But we really appreciate getting those things in so that we can get them organized. And we do have some space available still in camp. So if you happen to know anyone who is still looking for a camp placement, please refer them to us. And there is a $100 bonus available to you for referring friends to camp that we pay at the end of the camp season back to families who refer new families to us. So we would love to meet some of your friends and have them experience camp with us. So two last things that I'll share with you, and then I'll throw it over to Beth because I'm sure I've missed a million things, but I made a list to start with. So we also have an open house on May 18. And so if you have friends that are considering camp and you want them to be able to see it before they make a decision, please feel free to send them up on May 18. And if you just can't wait to get back to camp, even though you've been here before, we'd certainly welcome you on May 18 as well. That'd be great. And it's from 11 to 2, I think, on the 18th. And another very exciting thing, as I mentioned, we're working on the Field House, which is the last big project on our next 75 capital campaign, which is a $4.2 million capital campaign that we started in 2019. And it got a little interrupted by COVID during that experience. As you might recall, everything and everywhere got interrupted by. But we're very excited to say that project is fully funded at this point with gifts and pledges. We've achieved the goal of everything that we need to complete this building as well as the other things that we've done in this project. So if you've been a part of helping to fund the next 75 capital campaign, we really thank you for your contributions to those things. And we thank our camp community for helping to build for the future. Beth. what have I missed that you might want to tell our returning camp families?
I think I actually want to reiterate the forms. They're so helpful. I know sometimes we get the important ones like the medical, but the Camper Confidential and the letter to the counselor that the kids write, they're really, really helpful information. And we read them. I organize them before each session, and the kids counselors read them. And I just emphasize that those emailing me, emailing Ben, calling us, but certainly those are great ways to kind of get any information you might want your child's counselor just to know about them, and for them to make some connection before camp too. They read even a particular sport your kid likes. If the counselors identify with that, they really they utilize those. So I know it's an extra kind of lift before camp starts in the midst of the end of the school year, but those are really helpful. So just say fill those out when you can. Um, and I think for me, Ben and I have been working really just really hard about in hiring really wonderful staff. So we are I had my first meeting with our unit directors, who are the leaders of camp in the kind of on the collegiate level. They're college students, but they've been at camp for multiple summers. They've been counselors, and they kind of are that touchstone for your children's counselors. And they have already started planning like the themes of the week. They're throwing all these ideas around of new games. So just the energy is really building here on this end. So we're just wanting, we can't wait for you guys to be there, but we are really excited. And I know the girls are the female counselors are really starting to connect, and we're doing this kind of meeting next Wednesday with everyone. So they're just kind of a pre-training. So just that reminder it might feel like a slog at the end of the school year. I'm like, oh my gosh, looking down the line of now till June, but camp is really ready. We're really excited. So that's good.
Thanks, Beth.
Yeah.
There was a question about horseback riding that I'd be glad to answer. And also, by the way, if you've joined us kind of after we started, please feel free to put any questions in the chat box and we'll get to them. If your child is doing horseback riding at camp, they will ride every day as a part of their activity program. The things that might disrupt that would be their hike that they go on, and they would miss out on that day. And then we don't ride on Sunday in between the first and second week of camp. And then so they should get a number of days in riding each session, each week. If they're there for a 2 week session, they can sign up for horseback riding. We actually have currently eliminated 4 week riding programs, and what we've done is make sure that we get leave enough opportunity for everyone to sign up for that activity on a 2 week basis. And as we get closer to a session, if we have some spaces available, we make it known to anyone who's signed up that they could extend if they're staying for a month. The horses are excited to get all the campers back, I'm sure, too. Yep.
Gemma, I can answer the hike question. This is how many days will the hike be? So in these older cabins, Dominic's older, so this is 16, the hike is actually typically either a 2-day or a 3-day, depending on what cabin that he'll be in. And if he is coming for a whole month, he'll go on 2-day hikes, or he might go on a rafting trip and then a canoe trip. That's also an overnight, and a 3-day hike. So it's hard to let you know for sure, but him being that age, it would really depend if he was in the last cabin. The bear cabin has a little bit of a different program. The oldest girls and boys cabin are part of the basic program, so it's a month-long experience. So I don't want to guarantee it, but he typically, I would think, might be on a 3-day hike and a canoe trip, if that helps.
So time to get them to start breaking in those boots.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's great. They love it. Sometimes my theory too, I was on trip staff for 3 summers, and sometimes the longer trips are a little better just because when you go on an overnight, you can still say to yourself, I have less than 24 hours. I'm going to be home tomorrow. I'm going to get in the shower tomorrow. But when you're there for 3 days and 2 nights, you have to acclimate because you're out there. So sometimes kids end up doing a little bit better on the longer hikes because they know, like, okay, I'm here. Let me be present. So, but that piece of we're really proud and excited for kids to have that experience in the woods for their hikes.
Fantastic. Beth, could you answer the question about birthdays? I'm just grabbing the details for scuba.
Great.
Mhm.
So if any child has their birthday at camp, we the camp will organize a birthday cake either at lunch or dinner. Typically, we try to do it at dinner, but on days, sometimes we have days where there's four of the same birthday. So we split it up, but the cabin mates do a really funny skit, or the counselors do a fun skit, kind of like a pun with the child's name. And then the whole camp sings happy birthday to them. And then with decorations, absolutely. We usually don't, we say like no care packages and food, but if you do either at drop off, if you bring it with you and give it to your child's counselor, or if you mail it, people mail balloons or decorations, and we usually decorate, at least at Deer Run, and I can confirm with them, but we usually try to make sure if a parent provides the decorations, and we usually decorate the cabin when it's a kid's birthday too. We have some supplies here at camp, so you don't have to feel, but if you want to send anything in addition, we'd love to do that. Yeah.
Always fun to have your birthday at camp.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we have a great master list, so that's something that doesn't get missed, which is great.
Fantastic. So there was a question about scuba, and the scuba certification course is for 12-year-olds and up. And that is a full PADI certified, scuba certification that's available. And they get to go on a dive, out to a wreck, which is so much fun. And then we also have a scuba intro course. The scuba intro course does not need to be signed up ahead of time. But the scuba certification course does, as we bring in an instructor from outside for that experience. And the scuba certification course, it is a 2-week course, and it lasts for about 2 hours. And we do that the first and third 2-week sessions of the summer. That's when our instructor is available for that course. Great.
Um,
And then the question concerning
Medicaid.
pickup for a child, Beth, did you want to handle that one?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So if you have a child there who's staying a month and you're picking up at the end of 2 weeks, other children, you can take your kid out for the afternoon or the day. We always help parents to be mindful about the child's activities. So if it's the Saturday, they do have activities that they will miss, but it's okay. It's your discretion. Sunday is typically an easier day to see them because that's new kids coming in, and your child can visit in an easier way because a lot of their 2-week cabin mates might be leaving. So they'll have new cabin mates coming in. But yes, Saturday or Sunday you can take her out. And we just have a sign out process in the main office. So it's important just to make sure that you let the main office know that you're taking your child out and sign them back in there. But we always, I'll start getting emails middle of the week between sessions of parents picking up and dropping off. So that's no problem.
Fantastic.
Um,
I failed to mention the scuba cost is $200 for the scuba certification, which is a great deal.
yeah. I'm
Um,
looking at this question. Yeah, go.
no,
No.
no, go ahead, Beth.
About medications outside of breakfast and supper. We do have points of meds. So there's typically around meals, morning meds are before breakfast, lunchtime meds, dinner, and then evening meds. So if those those 4 times don't match your child's need, you would have a time to talk with the nursing staff at check-in, and we will accommodate a child if there's a specific question about a med, and you can always ask us offline, or if you'd like to talk to the nursing staff. But there are 4 points throughout the day that meds are delivered to kids or dispersed to kids.
Fantastic. And in regards to themes, Beth, you can maybe speak to that because the
Yeah.
Brooklands themes and the Deer Run themes are different. Yeah.
I think traditionally we have spent time prepping them beforehand, but we don't share them beforehand. Just because if we have to change, or if Brookwood's, is still change, if we're working on it during staff week, and where we want to make changes. So, but if there's something that we think of as really pertinent to let families know ahead of time, we'll for sure do that if it'd be fun for kids to bring certain things. But the fun of camp is that we really try to lower that pressure too of bringing things or having the right clothes or having the right costume or and just what we have at camp, and we create it, and it's a lot of fun to do that there. So don't want to add any pressure to the kids that they won't feel prepared. That will not be the case. So yeah.
And great question about swim lessons.
Mhm.
So as a part of check-in, after you have checked in your child and probably headed home, the cabin group will go down to the waterfront and do a swim test, really individually, checking their endurance in the water as well as their skills at some of the strokes. And if there is a need for swimming lessons based on their swimming ability, they can be assigned to swimming lessons at that point. And if they pass the test, that opens up other waterfront activities to them. So it's something we can talk about, Nina, if you want us to make some strong encouragements for get in there and swim, because it's a great place to learn to swim, and just a beautiful beach and great swim instructors down there.
Anything else that we missed here? There
Uh,
is, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. So the Camper Confidential form is actually for the parent to fill out, but there is the letter to that might be the letter to the counselor.
Mm.
And if I help my child with that as well. So I sit there and go, all right, what do you want to tell your counselor? And I help them fill it in. And that gives them a little opportunity to start building that relationship with that counselor. Yep. So, great question about airports and transportation. In your parent handbook, there is a form or there's a link on the website, which is probably easier to fill out for the transportation needs for the airport. We actually will. Corey, our office manager, handles all those transportation calls and lines that all up to make sure that we know what time the flight is and all of those things so that we have multiple vehicles often going to the airports and sometimes to more than one airport. But they're always accompanied by multiple staff who can make sure that they get your child to the right location, right on the plane, ready to go. And so they'll get that all set up. But so there's a great deal of information in that parent handbook about that as well.
Mm.
And feel free to give us a call. Corey can walk you right through the process very easily.
Mm.
Oh, and thanks for putting the link, Beth. Thank you.
Yeah. I was trying to check if there's any way to print kind of the fields of the camper letter, but I think it is kind of like you have to input it. So yeah, just trying to see.
Great question, Tara. We actually didn't ask everyone what sessions their kids are attending, but we recognize that we'll probably have campers, and families on the call that are attending just about every version of our summer program. But we will do all, right off the bat, we'll work with your child on getting them connected with their counselors in their cabin, the campers in their cabin, building that relationship right away. Because that's the important connection to make is that peer group of the cabin, and then from there they'll grow into knowing a little bit more of the camp population through camp activities and some of the all camp programs that happen. But we're always very aware of the new camper and making sure that we help them to find a connection right off.
Just Brookwoods is free all sessions, right? I think there's spots
Correct.
in.
There's a few
Yeah.
spots in each session. Yep. Yeah, Deer Run, it's an
An
unusual thing.
odd.
We actually had a few campers shorten their stay, so we had a couple spaces open up. But as of just a couple weeks ago, we were completely packed full for Deer Run.
Wow.
And so if you know any girls that want to go to camp, let's fill those spaces up. And then Brookwoods has a few spaces left, and then MRO also has a few spaces. And in the last year was our first time up there running 8 full weeks of camp.
Mhm,
So we still consider that a bit of a growth area.
mhm.
And the MRO experience is a wonderful experience for teen campers as well. Well, fantastic. Well, we're very glad that you joined us today, and I am not surprised at all that you have less questions than the first time campers and that were on the calls yesterday. And you know, we know that you kind of have a little bit of a sense of how the camp experience works. And you know, but we are here all the time. If you have questions, feel free to give us a call or jot us an email, and maybe Beth will pop our email addresses in the chat box for us too, and Ben's as well. And we're happy to get to know you a little bit better and how we can prepare uh, your child's cabin counselor to make sure that their experience at camp is wonderful. And we really just we're just excited. We're praying for each one of them, each one of our thousand and some campers as they come to camp, that this would be a great experience to connect with each other and to grow close to the Lord through times of worship, times of Bible study, and then that fellowship with everyone else. So thanks again.
Mhm.
If you have specific questions and you want to hang on and go live and you know just ask your questions, I'm happy to field those as well. And so I'm sure Beth would be as well. But if you've heard all the things that you need to hear, I'll give you back the rest of your night. Thank you so much.